Imagine you're watching a gripping detective movie. The hero moves silently, eyes locked on the suspect, analyzing every move, completely undetected. Every breath, every glance, every tiny clue is noticed, while the rest of the world fades into the background. The tension builds. The stakes are high, and yet the detective remains completely focused, unshaken, unstoppable. Now, what if you could harness that same level of focus in your own life? Imagine being able to shut out distractions, fully immerse yourself in your work, and perform at your absolute best, just like a detective locked onto a target. What could you achieve if your mind was trained to stay sharp, present, and undisturbed? In this summary, we'll uncover the hidden power of focus, how it works, why it matters, and how you can master it. You'll discover that distractions aren't always the enemy, and that learning to balance deep concentration with moments of mental flexibility is the key to both productivity and creativity. By the end, you'll realize that mastering your attention isn't just a skill, it's a superpower, one that can transform the way you work, think, and succeed. Stay with me, because what you're about to learn could change everything. Selective attention. When Daniel Goleman was a teenager, he had an unusual ability. During his chemistry class, he would hear the loud sound of a musical instrument playing nearby, yet he managed to memorize his lessons effortlessly. Later in life, when he worked as a writer for the New York Times, he applied the same skill. The newsroom was always noisy, writers discussing their work, chairs scraping against the floor, the rustling of papers, and the constant tapping of keyboards. But none of it seemed to matter. Just as he had done in his childhood, he remained deeply focused, unaffected by the surrounding chaos. This type of focus is known as selective attention, the ability to concentrate so deeply on one thing that external stimuli become irrelevant. While Goleman focused entirely on his writing, his other senses, like hearing, continued to process sounds, but they did not interfere with his concentration. The real question is, why do we struggle with selective attention? The biggest challenge comes from distractions, which can be of two types: sensory distractions and emotional distractions. Sensory distractions are external disturbances like background noise, just as Goleman experienced in his newsroom. It's similar to trying to focus while sitting on an uncomfortable chair. Your mind keeps drifting back to the discomfort. However, emotional distractions are even more powerful. Imagine sitting in a cafe, deeply engrossed in checking your emails. The hum of the coffee machine, the soft background music, none of it bothers you. But the moment you hear someone mention your name, your attention snaps away from your screen. Your brain instantly becomes alert, curious to know what is being said about you. This is how emotional distractions work. They trigger a deep response, pulling your focus away from your task. The more distracted you are, the worse your performance becomes. Studies have shown that athletes who experience high levels of anxiety and emotional distraction tend to perform poorly in competitions. Their focus is hijacked by nervousness rather than the task at hand. But why is selective attention so important? Beyond helping you complete a task, it serves other essential purposes. One of the biggest advantages is that it shields you from emotional distractions. For example, imagine facing a difficult situation. Let's say, going through a breakup right before your final exams. If you have strong selective attention, you'll still be able to concentrate on your studies instead of letting emotions overwhelm you. Another benefit is that it prevents you from getting stuck in a loop of negative thoughts. Many people dwell on their past mistakes, feeling hopeless and discouraged. But if you train your mind to focus on what truly matters, you can break free from this cycle and move forward with confidence. Selective attention is also crucial when facing challenges. Suppose you set a goal but fail to achieve it. If your focus is strong, you won't see failure as the end of the road, but as an opportunity to learn and grow. Instead of giving up, you'll treat setbacks as stepping stones towards success. Ultimately, developing selective attention allows you to immerse yourself in meaningful tasks. Just as a person loses track of time while reading a gripping book, you can experience deep engagement in your work, leading to higher productivity and greater satisfaction. By mastering focus, you gain the power to navigate distractions, overcome obstacles, and create a more fulfilling life. The value of a wandering mind. We've already explored the benefits of focused attention, but what about a mind that constantly wanders? Surprisingly, some of the most brilliant ideas emerge from unexpected, seemingly random thoughts. Understanding how a wandering mind works isn't easy. You can't simply instruct yourself to daydream or allow your thoughts to drift. It's a natural process that happens on its own. But does that mean an unfocused mind is a bad thing? Absolutely not. In fact, it often unlocks creativity in ways that structured thinking cannot. Artists, writers, and creative thinkers often let their minds roam freely while working. They don't force ideas into rigid structures. Instead, they allow inspiration to flow without restrictions. Creativity flourishes when there are no limitations, no predefined rules, only freedom of thought. A wandering mind is not just a tool for artistic expression, it also helps with deeper reflection. When you let your thoughts drift, you might find yourself contemplating the future, analyzing life decisions, or gaining new insights about yourself. Many successful people, like Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff, recognize this power. Benioff deliberately takes time off, traveling to Hawaii once a month, just to let his mind relax. When he returns, he's often filled with fresh ideas and new perspectives. While focused attention is undeniably valuable, the power of a wandering mind shouldn't be overlooked. History is filled with examples of how moments of mental drift have led to breakthroughs. In one experiment, researchers divided volunteers into two groups. The first group was instructed to concentrate entirely on a task, maintaining strict focus, while the second group was given no such restrictions. The task involved learning new activities, something they had never done before. The results were fascinating. The second group, those whose minds were free to wander, performed 40% better than the focused group. They not only adapted to the activities more quickly, but also approached them with greater originality and creativity. Instead of merely following instructions, they thought outside the box, offering innovative solutions. This experiment proves that allowing your mind to wander isn't a sign of distraction or inefficiency. On the contrary, it's a gateway to fresh perspectives, problem-solving, and groundbreaking ideas. A balance between deep focus and mental flexibility can lead to the best results, both in productivity and creativity. Finding balance. Both focused attention and a wandering mind have their own advantages. While focus helps you stay on track to achieve your goals, letting your mind drift freely can unlock creativity and fresh insights. However, too much of either can be counterproductive. Excessive focus can be exhausting, and an overly wandering mind can sometimes lead to self-doubt. From a psychological perspective, a constantly drifting mind tends to return to one thing: yourself. Whether you're daydreaming about the future or replaying past events, your mind often circles back to self-reflection. While this isn't necessarily bad, it can sometimes trigger anxiety and negative thinking. People who frequently let their minds wander often dwell on past mistakes, feeling as though they haven't achieved enough. This cycle of self-criticism can lower self-esteem and create unnecessary stress. One effective way to prevent this is through meditation. To understand its benefits, consider the story of a lawyer and a handful of raisins. This lawyer was a workaholic, constantly occupied with deadlines and responsibilities. He rarely took a break, and his entire focus was on work. Seeing this, his boss forced him to take a vacation. During his time off, he met a woman who introduced him to meditation. She explained how it had transformed her life, but the lawyer dismissed it as unimportant. Instead of arguing, the woman gave him a simple task. She handed him a few raisins and asked him to eat them one at a time, very slowly. She instructed him to focus entirely on the flavor, texture, and experience of eating the raisins, savoring every bite. The lawyer followed her instructions, and to his surprise, his mind became completely absorbed in the process. For the first time in years, he wasn't thinking about work, stress, or deadlines. He was simply present in the moment, enjoying the taste of each raisin. It was a rare and deeply calming experience for him. This is the essence of meditation, a practice that quiets the mind, brings relaxation, and restores energy. It helps control mental distractions and prevents negative thought loops from taking over. But what about the other extreme? If meditation helps in calming a restless mind, how do you deal with too much focus? Being hyper-focused for long periods can be mentally and physically draining. Imagine trying to solve a complex math problem for hours without success. No matter how hard you try, the answer remains elusive. What should you do? The solution is simple. Take a break. When you reach a mental block, forcing yourself to concentrate even harder is often counterproductive. Instead, step away from the task. Stretch your arms, look out the window, or step outside for fresh air. Observe the world around you, the movement of people, the sounds of birds chirping, the aroma of food from the kitchen. This simple exercise shifts your brain from intense focus to a more relaxed, wandering state. And often, when you return to your problem after a short break, you'll find new solutions with a fresh perspective. The key is balance. Too much focus can lead to burnout, while too much mind wandering can result in distraction. By learning when to concentrate and when to let go, you can optimize your productivity, creativity, and overall well-being. The inner compass. Focus isn't just about your ability to pay attention. It also plays a crucial role in giving your life direction. It helps you navigate challenges, make tough decisions, and stay true to what truly matters to you. Take the story of George, for example. He was never an outstanding student. In fact, he barely managed to pass high school, struggling to stay interested in class. But there was one thing that captivated him: filmmaking. Unlike his academic subjects, film drew him in completely, and before long, he found himself working as an assistant director on small projects. However, the film industry is tough. Many movies don't achieve the success their creators hope for, and original ideas often get altered beyond recognition. George faced the same struggles. He worked on small-scale films, but they either didn't gain much popularity or failed to turn a profit. Time and again, producers and studios modified his original ideas, reshaping them into something different from what he had envisioned. For George, filmmaking wasn't just about money or fame. It was about creativity and artistic integrity. So when a major Hollywood studio offered him a deal for his latest film, he refused. The contract stated that the studio would have the right to modify his work as they saw fit, something he was unwilling to accept. Determined to bring his vision to life, George went from studio to studio, searching for one that would honor his creative vision. It wasn't easy. 9 studios turned him down, but on his 10th attempt he finally found one that agreed to produce his film without making changes to his original idea. That filmmaker was George Lucas, and the film he fought so hard for was Star Wars. Today, Star Wars is more than just a movie. It's a legendary franchise that reshaped the film industry. But its success wouldn't have been possible if Lucas had compromised his vision. Had he allowed other studios to make changes to his work, Star Wars might never have reached its iconic status. What set Lucas apart was self-awareness. He knew what he valued most and refused to compromise on it. Self-awareness acts as an inner compass, guiding you toward decisions that align with your deepest values. It helps you stand firm in what you believe in, even when faced with difficult choices. Think of self-awareness as a conversation between your mind and body. It tells you what feels right and what doesn't. It helps you recognize your strengths, your passions, and the path that truly fulfills you. In many ways, self-awareness is the ultimate form of focus, not just on a task, but on the life you want to live. A recipe for self-control. Teaching a child to focus is no easy task. Their attention naturally drifts toward food, cartoons, and sweets. However, there are certain tricks that adults can learn from children. Take Daniel Goleman's approach, for instance. Whenever his 2-year-old son threw a tantrum, he wouldn't argue or try to reason with him. Instead, he would quickly distract him, pointing at a bird or an animal nearby and asking, "Look, what's that?" This simple technique redirected the child's focus and diffused the situation. This is how focus helps regulate emotions. By shifting attention, you can manage feelings like anger, stress, anxiety, or sadness. This ability is known as self-control. Think about it. When you agree to finish your dinner before eating dessert, you're exercising self-control. As we grow older, our self-control strengthens. We learn to delay gratification in different areas of life. For example, skipping a weekend party to prepare for an important exam, or cooking at home instead of ordering takeout to save money. These small decisions reflect our ability to resist short-term temptations for long-term benefits. Self-control is a key component of self-awareness, which, as we've seen before, means knowing what you value most in life. Once again, let's look at George Lucas. His deep commitment to creativity and integrity shaped his decisions. Many filmmakers, especially at the start of their careers, are eager to sell their films to any producer willing to invest. But Lucas wasn't like that. Even when uncertain and struggling, his self-awareness and self-control helped him make tough choices that ultimately led to his success. Another essential aspect of self-awareness is willpower, the ability to persist despite challenges. And like self-control, willpower is something we can train from a young age. A fascinating study from the 1960s sheds light on this. Researchers focused on children who had been neglected in early childhood. The goal of the study was to boost their IQ by providing them with special care and attention. Although their IQ levels didn't improve significantly, the researchers noticed something else. As these children grew up, they were less likely to drop out of school, engage in crime, or experience teenage pregnancy. Many of them went on to secure stable jobs. Their intelligence remained average, but the care and attention they received transformed their lives. Another famous experiment that demonstrates willpower is the marshmallow test, conducted by psychologist Walter Mischel at Stanford University. In this experiment, 4-year-old children were seated at a table with a marshmallow placed in front of them. They were given 2 options. They could either eat the marshmallow immediately or wait until the researcher returned, in which case they would receive 2 marshmallows as a reward. The challenge? The children were left alone in an empty room with no distractions. The results varied. Some children couldn't resist and ate the marshmallow right away. Others tried to wait, but eventually gave in. However, a few managed to resist temptation until the researcher returned. What set these children apart? They used distraction techniques to divert their focus away from the marshmallow. Some sang songs, others tapped their feet, some closed their eyes or looked away, and a few even engaged in small movements or dances to keep themselves occupied. This experiment proved that focus plays a crucial role in strengthening willpower. The children who succeeded in waiting weren't just naturally disciplined, they actively redirected their attention to resist temptation. Surprisingly, taking breaks and occasionally unfocusing can actually help build stronger willpower. This may sound counterintuitive, but stepping away from a goal at times makes it easier to sustain effort in the long run. For example, imagine you're working toward a fitness goal, building a muscular and healthy body. If you overtrain without allowing your body to rest, you'll experience burnout, fatigue, or even injury. The key to long-term success isn't relentless focus, but knowing when to step back and recover. This is precisely how willpower works. It doesn't demand constant intensity, but rather sustained effort with periods of rest. Learning to shift between focus and relaxation allows you to stay committed without feeling overwhelmed. It's not about pushing yourself endlessly. It's about knowing how to pace yourself for lasting success. The myth of 10,000 hours. Have you ever heard of the Iditarod? It's an incredibly tough sled dog race held in the freezing wilderness of Alaska. The race lasts over a week, pushing competitors through extreme weather conditions, unpredictable snowstorms, and brutal terrain. To survive, racers must be well prepared, carrying essential supplies, food, and first aid kits to tend to their dogs if needed. One of the most legendary sled racers in Iditarod history was Susan Butcher. Unlike most competitors who typically followed a routine of racing for 12 hours and resting for 12 hours, Susan had a different approach. She and her dogs would race for 6 hours and then rest for 6 hours. This method gave her a huge advantage. Her dogs had more recovery time, preventing exhaustion, and she herself avoided burnout. This wasn't just a routine, it was a strategy, one that she perfected over years. Thanks to her smart approach, Susan became one of the greatest sled racers of all time. Now, if you've read books on skill mastery, you've probably come across the famous 10,000-hour rule, the idea that to become an expert in any field, you must practice for at least 10,000 hours. According to this rule, simply repeating a task over and over again will make you a master at it. But is that really true? Imagine practicing shooting for 10,000 hours, but with poor technique. Would you become a great shooter? Number. In fact, you'd only reinforce bad habits and waste thousands of hours doing it wrong. Instead of blindly following the 10,000-hour rule, a better approach is smart practice. This means continuously adjusting your techniques to improve performance. It's about focused attention, paying close attention to even the smallest mistakes and correcting them. This is why dance studios have full-length mirrors from floor to ceiling, so that dancers can analyze every move, catch errors, and refine their technique. The key difference between those who remain average and those who excel is how they practice. Some people are satisfied with repeating the same level of performance over and over again. They don't actively seek improvement. They're just content with maintaining their current abilities. But people with focused attention are different. They are constantly thinking, how can I improve? They seek out experts, ask for feedback, and continuously push themselves beyond their limits. It's not hours of practice that create expertise. It's focus and the desire to learn. Another crucial factor is avoiding autopilot mode. When you become highly skilled at something, it's easy to start performing it automatically without thinking. For example, you might cook breakfast while watching TV or exercise while having a conversation. These tasks have become second nature, requiring little thought. While familiarity with a task isn't a bad thing, falling into autopilot mode is dangerous when it comes to skill mastery. When you stop paying close attention to what you're doing, you stop improving. This is where performance starts to decline, not because of lack of effort, but because of lack of focus. In the end, expertise isn't about mindlessly repeating a task for thousands of hours. It's about staying fully engaged, correcting mistakes, and actively seeking improvement. That's the real secret to mastery. Conclusion. Throughout this journey, you've discovered how focused attention can help you achieve excellence. It allows you to concentrate on a specific task, blocking out distractions, and sharpening your ability to stay engaged. At the same time, you've also learned that a distracted mind isn't always a bad thing. While excessive distraction can lower productivity, allowing your mind to wander occasionally can boost creativity and relaxation. Many artists and writers thrive because they embrace mental drift, using it as a tool for inspiration. However, if distractions get out of control, meditation can help you regain focus, training your mind to concentrate with a calm and relaxed approach. Finding the right balance between focus and a wandering mind is essential. Too much focus can be exhausting, so taking breaks is necessary. Shifting your attention occasionally by listening to nature, breathing deeply, or simply stepping away can refresh your mind and help you maintain long-term concentration. You've also explored self-awareness, which acts as an inner compass, guiding you toward decisions that align with your values. In addition, self-control and willpower play crucial roles in maintaining focus. While self-control helps you say no to distractions that derail your progress, willpower gives you the strength to persist despite challenges. Another key insight was debunking the 10,000-hour rule. Mastery isn't just about putting in countless hours of practice, it's about focused improvement. Simply repeating an action won't make you an expert, but paying close attention to your mistakes, learning from them, and seeking feedback will. At times, life can feel confusing, making it difficult to decide where to direct your energy. This uncertainty often stems from a lack of clarity about what truly matters to you. But now you understand how to harness focused attention and use it as a tool to create meaningful progress. Whatever you focus on, you will achieve. Stay committed to your path, take breaks when needed, and keep improving. With time and dedication, you will see your dreams transform into reality. Focus, relax, persist, and success will follow.